This is Katherine. Long hair can be absolutely beautiful on a girl, or a guy, but here we use the scissors to create a look that looks like it hasn't been cut, and that's the whole point of it. We create the different lengths, and the lengths give us the versatility with this haircut that you can have long hair, but it can still be customized and do multiple things with the products when used properly. So enjoy! Over the years I've become a fan of long hair, and it's always been my goal to make long hair sort of look more natural, more grown out. You know, at this length, when it starts to have lines and stuff, it can look a bit too structured, especially for what she does with her hair. She just washes and leaves it. Here we're talking about different lengths that I want to break the front, because my goal was always to have long hair look like it grew out from a short haircut, and following the natural sort of lines of the hairline and the different lengths it creates. That's the whole ideology of how I cut hair. And we're just talking about putting a little bit more, sort of a few more breaks in the hair so that when she pulls it back, it's got a little bit of versatility, and absolutely fantastic, looks beautiful already. So she's got this great sort of wavyish, you know, it could even pull a curl if it was a bit shorter, but with the length and the weight, it's got that nice sort of wave to it. So I'm starting in. We had given her the shampoo and conditioner, the Moon shampoo and conditioner, to wash her hair before she got to the studio that morning. And here I'm working with the One, and just going through and dampening the hair down. And again, I don't want it to be too wet. You know, every time you hear me talk about hairdressing, it's always about you work and then you react to the work you're putting into it. You know, so making sure that I've got enough in it that the hair's controlled. It looks good when she's looking in the mirror, but still just not oversaturated. And you can start to see, you know, you can see where the hair just is, you know, it's got those long sort of straggly ends that because of the amount of weight, you know, that's my key, is to try and even this out a little bit, but then put in those sort of feature lengths. And I'm going to start by working on the length, and we're going to sort of fast forward through here. I'll start you off and sort of explain the idea, but I'm just going to work with the scissors here and take up the length a little bit and just pointing into them and getting a bit more of a structured sort of line in there without a dead line, meaning, you know, a very blunt line. So sticking the One in my pocket. At the studio we don't have a lot of surfaces to put things on, so I end up with my tools and products in my pocket. But you know, in your salon or in the studio, in your studio, maybe there's places you can do that. So I've got a middle parting, and taking a subsection from the middle through to through above the top of the ear. Just really checking out what I've got here before I start to work. And here we go, just evening out. I mean, you can just see what I have to remove. It's quite obvious a lot of the times with hair, you know, if you look at it, what you have to do. You know, the hair tells you where it has to just be a bit more structured, where it can break. So I'm going to have a sort of fast forward through this because, you know how to do this. So I want to move through and take a parting right by the recession, because if I kept it in the middle, you know, all of my texture would have been really through that one section in the front. And when she pulls that back, there's almost a one length feel underneath, or one length look, sorry. And to do the side parting, when I start to cut into the hair, it gives me that almost an undercut feel, in a bigger term, not like we're cutting hair short here, but that I can get those lengths in there, and you can see it here. Here I'm going to go a little bit deeper because I've transitioned through the side and there's a lot more weight through here, so I can start to break into it so that the line is sort of consistent as far as the translucency and the separation I've got on the base. So just adjusting where I see and feel that I can go in and just be a little bit more precise about where the weight can come out. It is a little bit dry, but because I'm using the scissors here, it is fine. So back in, just removing that length. You know, could I use a razor here? Absolutely. Could I get it more translucent? Yes, but the whole idea is to sort of clean it up a little bit, you know, and have the illusion of that line, but still with the separation, especially when we start styling it, and we get to a point where we have, you know, the structure in the haircut. Here we go, we're going with some more one, and just spraying through. It seems a little bit more laborious to go through with sections like this, but it's all about having the control and you know, just taking that extra couple of minutes through a haircut to, you know, get the texture and the control with moisture in the hair that allows you to, you know, be more precise with the cutting. Now I'm going to go back to the center parting, which is almost the overcut, as we were talked about the undercut. Now this section has to have its own lengths in there, and it's really about versatility, that you push the hair around. There's a lot going on, even in a very, very simple haircut like Katherine's hair. Just brushing it through, we'll dampen it down a little bit, and then we'll start to work into these lines through the front. And you know, it'd be sort of criminal if I went in and cut a nice sort of curve through the front. It would almost make it too commercial for me and for her, and that's why I'm going to use the scissors and cut into the hair. And it's really about those 5 to 10 little pieces that are just, you know, when they become active. You know, you can see me looking here at the length, the texture, see where is the right place to cut them in, and making sure again that, you know, we don't cut them and measure them even on each side, as you'll see later, but each side has its own sort of statement of really where it lives and where these shorter pieces work for the haircut. So just judging. So here we go in, we're coming in from the back and working down. So we get the break from the back, and then that length just drops in the front. And very random, you know, the precision is in where I decide to do that shorter piece, you know, but once we start cutting into it, I don't know who I'm talking to there, probably Amanda. We filmed these films in the studio, and it was basically 3 people doing it because we just liked the comfort of a smaller group and quite intimate. So checking what I've done there. You can see, you know, the texture starting to react, and that's very important to me. You know, I'll keep going back and looking and checking that I've got enough, and if I've done too much, then, you know, obviously try and hide it and say come back in 6 months and we'll fix it, but let's not make those mistakes. So just twisting it and really pulling that texture, see what we can do with it. And it's kind of like playing with hair, but at the same time you're feeling to see if the bits that you've done, you know, those sections are working. And ultimately the best way to check is when you're styling, you know, because that is the true answer to, you know, all of the haircutting. The styling performs to the multiple looks you want to do with it. And obviously with the products as well, that you get something, you know, she wanted a trim, but, you know, I'll trim it and add a little bit more, and I know she'll be extremely happy with it. So I've continued through the opposite side. You know, we're pulling the sections from the centre back forward, just so we have that sort of longer point in the back, and again, just taking the lengths, those long sort of wispy pieces, just take them out. And center parting again, because that's me creating my length before we go back to the side parting. And I'm using quite a large comb because I don't want too much resistance. I'm not looking for too much tension on the hair. I want it very loose. And continuing through the back, just pulling the sections forward. Super simple, and the whole key to this haircut is really just the lengths that we're cutting in. Here, this is super simple. Making sure though that we do get something quite even, and you see me lifting the hair out because a little bit more graduation on the ends is always nice, a bit softer. So I'll continue all the way through into the back. So going back in, taking my side parting, so we can work through the underneath and create the lengths. And this is a very simple haircut, and some people would say, it's just a trim, but it's really, I want to show you the stuff because simplicity is so important. And here, right above the ear, starting to go in and cutting those lengths, and just breaks into the hair. To me, this is the haircut right here. And it's not, it's not always about how much hair you cut off, how shocking the haircut is, but how subtle, the subtleties of cutting hair are quite beautiful. Especially when you've got control of it. So here we're just going in, and in the old days I would have gone through and layered the hair, but it's too much of a form, it's too much of a shape. I'm looking for something a bit more random, that to me is much more modern, and especially on Katherine, this is reacting to who she is, what she wants, how her hair works. So all that stuff is so important. And we're just getting a hold of that, going through and doing the surface stuff now. Again, working from the back to the front, so I get the shorter to longer pieces. And you see them drop out right there. And hairdressing really is about what does it need, how do we do it, and have, the accuracy of getting to the end result is quite beautiful. So here I'm just chipping out that point. Here we have a lot more hair. We're in the center back, so right off the bat I'm going a little bit deeper with the scissors and try to take out a little bit more weight. But again, I need consistency all the way through. If I have a super sort of short, high, crown here, it's just not going to work for the rest of the haircut. So keep it in line with the amount of weight we took out through the fronts. But again, we can go in and go a little bit deeper here. And now we can actually go through the surface and go much deeper. Just taking those lengths out, releasing a little bit of weight through there, because again, if we follow how the hair would naturally grow, that's where we'd have those shorter pieces. And a little bit more hair coming out because we have the luxury of all that weight through there. So we just want to even it out. And now we can start to look and see how all this has come together. And this haircut is 10 minutes. The consultation was longer than the haircut, but that's okay. Because I understand I understand completely what she wants to do with hair. Sometimes she's modeling, so people have to work with her hair. So the versatility is so important, and then customizing the haircut to her is the ultimate in great service. So just checking that we pull it back. And this is something I always do with my haircuts, just to, again, your client's looking in the mirror, you're paying attention, we start to see the textures working. And even though, maybe there was 12 to 15 sections where we actually went a bit deeper, that's all it needs, and that's the skill, is judging what it needs. And as I was saying earlier, you know, the old days would be layers, and it was almost too much of a technique for something like this, you know. And it's got that sort of hippie-ish 60s look, but again, it's modern because her face is very different. You know, we're working to all that, the texture, and now we're going and sort of finish the haircut and see where are those lengths needed through the front. Because a haircut for me is it's never done until the client walks out the door, because you're always seeing things, you're reacting to it. We've got a kind of crooked middle part going on here, so here we'll take the underneath section and come from the front and just work down, because it's a little shorter bit underneath. Same on the other side. Not starting at the same level, but the same idea and same location with the section. You can see it there, it just breaks through the front. And subtle, absolutely. Beautiful, definitely. Now we'll go in and we'll brush it through. You know, moving through the hair, brushing, you know, I remember when I would do haircuts as a kid, I was just never had the scissors down. I was cutting, and then I'd finish and then have a look at it. Nowadays, I want to sort of look at it as I'm going through it and identifying what I have to do to finish the haircut. So I just want to show you how it looked earlier. And you know, we did cut off a few inches, and it just didn't seem like it was a big deal. But for her, you know, that's a lot of hair. But now, look at it, it just, you know, it's got a lot more sort of quality of the hair. And that's the whole thing, is to bring that back. And I'm just going through and checking and end up with, you know, with this type of hair, I always like to sort of end up with, what we're going to do it here is do a little bit of a twist. It's almost like me setting the hair. And again, nothing in the hair, because I want to see it as is. She doesn't use products except for shampoo. I'd probably let her walk away with a shampoo and conditioner and the mannequin. I think that'll be the product, as you'll see later when we start to style it, that I used, and it was very cool through the hair because it's not too heavy, just gives a little separation and does an amazing job. So just sort of tying this back, you know, and there's a style in itself, you know, nice low side parting, a little bit rough. That's me showing her how to style her hair when she's, you know, come out of the shower, dried it a little bit, put her products in, and she can actually go to work like this and then take it down and have, because of the twist, all that beautiful wave that we'll see later. So we're going to let her go, and we'll show you the end results. Thank you.